Take me back to Dre and DOC. This is NWA. They're signed to Ruthless Records. This is just before Death Row. I think at this point you're Dre's personal manager. The story is that you got Dre and DOC out of their Ruthless Records deal, and what I read, they were handed over, no money exchanged. How did you pull that one?
I think it's the mind of the battle. You battle with your mind. I mean, one of the things that when I got involved in the music business, Doc, the DOC, was a friend of mine.
Right.
And the guy had, he had a tragic, it was an accident. He was going home from one of his videos, he fell asleep. He was in a Honda Prelude, he got blew out the direction, the windshield of the car from the back.
Right.
Everything else came back except his voice. So the guy ended up talking like Donald Duck, which is very sad. The guy went from having the best voice in the rap game to having basically no voice.
Right.
And I tried to cheer him up because, you know, it was like the worst thing a prophecy can happen to a rapper, like an athlete loses his legs.
Right.
So I said, well, look, one thing you can count on that you write songs.
Right.
You done wrote X amount of songs for Eazy. You done wrote X amount of songs for NWA. That's worth a lot of money to
right.
you.
And so you get Dre, you got Doc.
So I go into Doc's contract, and he sold his songs for a $100 watch, a $150 chain. So what I seen, I never seen anything like it in the world.
Right.
So when I went to go get Doc's situation squared away, that's when Dre came.
Right.
Dre said, well, look, I'm not really from Compton. Everybody usually against me. He said, I'm over here, Ruthless, and I got this deal that for a bonus, if I do 2 records, I'll probably get a swimming pool in my backyard.
Right.
I said, that's got to be crazy. What your contract says? He said, I never seen a contract.
Right.
I signed something, I never seen it. I said, we got to get your contracts. So they gave him a run around, told me he couldn't have his contract. The lawyers told me he couldn't have his contract, but the lawyers was a record company lawyer.
Right.
So I went to the lawyer, I went to the record company, I said, okay, you got to give Dre his contract. Actually got to give it to me.
Right.
Not now.
You go by yourself?
Yeah. So I told him I got to get a contract.
Because there's stories of like pipes, bats, all kinds of stuff.
That's
Bring a little something.
That's the 60s.
Okay.
So I told him I got to get his contract. I don't want to cuss on your show, so maybe you can bleep it out.
Do what you want as a lady.
Okay, fine. I told him I got to get Dre's contract, not now, but right now.
Right.
So after I got his contract, I read and I seen that the guy was only getting 1 point, 2 points, and it was cross-collateralizing everything.
Right.
Even though he was a producer, along with Yellow, if J.J. Fad go in the hole, he got to pay for it.
Right.
So it's no way, if he produced and worked for 20 years, he wouldn't have never seen any money. He was always been recouped.
So you went in there with the business savvy.
Right.
You helped him out. Dre brings Snoop. You got.
I get Dre.
You don't want me to interrupt the man?
Well,
please.
I want to tell you the truth.
I'm a gracious host.
So anyway, what happened was I got Dre.
Right.
And starting a label, they wanted the name label Future Shot.
Right. The original name before Death Row.
Right.
Right.
So it was Future Shot.
Okay.
That was just a name they kicked around. And I wanted to go Death Row. There was a guy that had a Death Row, but he spelled it like Def Jam.
Right.
I'm like, you know, no offense, but you know, we from the ghetto, so if we're gonna say Death Row, it'd be the real Death Row, the man in the chair, and my homeboy just got out of prison, so he drew the logo for us.
Right.
Got to get the money back to the community, right?
Right.
So we had to come up with the first album, which at that time everybody was in the neighborhoods, everybody was smoking on the Chronic. That's how we came with the name The Chronic. But when we started working on the album, Dre didn't want to be an artist because he always been a producer.
Right.
And I had to go in there and sell something. You know, if you're gonna go get major distribution, you just can't go in there and say, hey, I got Joe Blow, and people gonna say, okay, let's put it out.
But they knew him from NWA, right?
They knew him from NWA. But it was a hard challenge at first because he wasn't known as a rapper. It was Eazy, it was Cube, and then it was a third player, which was Ren.
Right.
So I had to sell these guys on
Dre coming out from behind the board
and saying he can do both.
Right.
So we go on and seeing different guys rapping. And that's how I started with Snoop. And Snoop was over there with a brother law. Actually, Snoop was signed to a guy named Bill.
Right.
Which his name at the time was Snooper Duper.
Right.
And Bill had him doing all the wrong things. He had him just like the 5 Heartbeats, the special ed haircut. If you remember 187, remember the first video we shot?
Yeah, I remember.
187? Remember he had the special ed haircut showing the sun? So that was their vision.
Right.
But it's hard to get an artist to see talent in another artist because they want to like themselves. So they was like, well, Snoop's all right. But Snoop was great, and you can't take that from him. So the collaboration went well. We did 187 on Undercover Cop. Everybody was there, and it was just one. I felt, even the streets felt, that Snoop was the best for us going blow for blow for freestyling.